Good evening and welcome to the September 4th, 2014 TV Toastmasters meeting. We have a really nice meeting this evening. We've got 2 prepared speeches. We will have table topics. We also will have our evaluation portion of the meeting. So I think you're going to have a really pleasant meeting tonight. And for those of you looking in from home, we'd like to invite you to come and visit us at one of our meetings. We meet the first Thursday and the third Saturday of each month. The first Thursday at 6 p.m., the third Saturday at 9 a.m. at the Anderson Community Center television studio at 7855 Mile Road. I'm Steve Ehrenholz. I'm the president of TV Toastmasters this year, and I am going to introduce to you our Toastmaster for this evening, who happens to be Steve Ehrenholz, our president of TV Toastmasters for Toastmasters year 2014, 2015. I'm sorry, 2014, 2015. I would like to call our first participant in this evening's meeting up here to give us the word of the day. Jessica Bailey will give us the word of the day. So Jess, if you'd come up here and introduce the word of the day for us, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
So today's word of the day is repugn, for all those out there. It means to oppose or refute, and it is a verb. So word of the day, repugn. Please use that where necessary.
Okay, thank you, Jessica, and don't go too far because we're going to have our table topics portion of the meeting next, which is our impromptu portion of the meeting. We practice our impromptu speaking skills. Jessica will have a question that she would like to have one of the people in the audience here respond to. She will give her a question, then she will call on someone. Generally, we don't call on people who are doing the prepared speeches, so, gotcha. But anybody else is fair game. The other thing for bonus points is if you can use the word of the day, repugn, in your table topics. So help me welcome Jessica Bailey to do our table topics. Jessica?
Thank you. Very excited to be back. So as most of you guys know, summer is closing to an end, which makes me very, very sad. I happen to love summer probably more than any other season. So that kind of brings me to thinking Labor Day and this week, and it's been a short week, but a very important thing is actually happening tonight. It is the kickoff of the NFL. Football is a great time of year, tailgating, a lot of fun, going Bengals games, UC football games, all of the above, good times. So that brings to the first question, Rick, what is your favorite football team?
Thank you, Jessica. When I grew up, we moved from city to city to city. So I never really got an allegiance to any particular football team. When I was really young, we lived in San Diego, California, and it was Go Chargers. Then we moved to Washington, D.C., and it was, yes, the Redskins. Sorry about the name. Some people don't like that, but I know them as the Redskins. Then I went to school in Cleveland, Ohio, and was rooting for the Browns. Probably not a good choice. Moved to Cincinnati, Ohio, and it became the Bengals. What I have discovered in my lifetime is that my favorite football team is the home team. Whichever team's the home team, that's the one I root for, Jessica.
Thank you. I wouldn't repugn the fact that it would be the home team. So next question, because I do prefer, we talked about NFL and professional sports, but I also like college sports because obviously went to college, went to multiple schools, and so I have multiples to cheer for. Jean, do you prefer college or professional sports, and why?
Thank you, Jessica. College or what?
Professional.
Professional? Okay, well, I have to confess, I'm not much of a football fanatic, but I do enjoy watching when they have the NCAA, the basketball. No, but I do enjoy when they have the big games that like the Rose Bowl and the parade and stuff like that they usually have with all the excitement, the festivities, the commercials. That part I tend to like because everybody's get caught up into the fun of the game. And as for the game, I usually root for the underdog, so I really don't have a preference to professional or college football. So it's wherever the excitement is, I'm all for it because I enjoy having a good time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So football is not the only good thing about fall, although I despise most things about fall because the winter's coming, and it's not that I don't like fall, I just don't like winter. So naturally you're going to not like fall. There are a few good things like campfire and food. I like food. So, Miss Carol, what is your favorite fall food and why?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master and our fellow Toastmasters. My favorite fall food and why? Probably because I like sweets so well, probably the usual pumpkin pie that always have in the fall. I'm not as much a fan of it now as I used to be. Actually, I like another thing was the cider. And the bonfires where you roasted the marshmallows in the bonfire, and they make s'mores now. I've never made s'mores, but that seems to be pretty big, making s'mores, putting the marshmallow between the graham cracker and chocolate with it. So I've never made that, but I guess people really like that. But I like the smell of the leaves in the fall. Of course, you don't eat leaves, but but that reminds me of a joke of the bear that went into don't tap on that. The bear that went into the restaurant and ate his dinner and got up and left. And they said, he didn't pay. Well, everybody knows that, he shot his gun off and they left and said, well, everybody knows that the koalas eats, shoots, and leaves.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Carol. I sure do appreciate it, and we're going to wait for Steve to come right back. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Had to run back here from the director's booth. We have two prepared speeches this evening, and I'm looking forward to hearing both of them. Our first speaker this evening is one of our club's newest members. We are going to be hearing his icebreaker speech tonight. The title of the speech is Why I Am, and we're going to hear Alex Lee present his icebreaker, Why I Am. Alex?
All right, so my icebreaker, why I am. So first I'm going to start with a stereotype game. So it might be a little controversial, but we're going to give it a go. I'm first generation Chinese American. My folks came here from Southeast China. They moved here in the 1970s. So there are two stereotypical states that most Chinese Americans move to. Can anyone guess what states these might be?
Washington?
Nope.
California?
Nope. New York. Yep, it's New York. So we moved to New York. So I grew up in New York. So when they moved to New York, they settled down and they opened this kind of business.
Restaurant.
They opened a restaurant, right? It could have been a restaurant, or it could have been a laundromat, or but it was a restaurant. Yes. So I grew up eating lots of Chinese food. It was wonderful. It's amazing. I'm still so thin. but it was late night Chinese food for 18 years. And so we valued education. That was very important. So I went to school, and what did I major in?
Engineering.
Engineering, yes. It could have been engineering, it could have been medical. I have a sister and a brother, and they majored in medical and sciences, respectively, so we got that covered. And then for a vehicle, I drive a
Really small car.
Toyota, maybe a Camry, maybe a Corolla, Honda Civic. I got that covered, check. And so, I am a walking Asian stereotype. And the reason why I start with this sort of an introduction is because something about me is that I pay no heed to political correctness. I think our society is overly sensitive a lot of times when it comes to being politically correct. And so let me follow this with a story. When I was freshman year, I went to RIT. It was in upstate New York, a technology school. And there was a girl who lived down the hall. Her name was Stacy, and I really liked her. I thought she was 5'3". She had, amazing eyes. She was, disproportionately shaped in all the right ways. And I thought she had a spunky personality. She was great. So I really enjoyed her. And it was the second day of orientation. And it was behind the building. They had a lawn, and we were doing orientation activities. And so we were getting to know each other, and I was with my roommate, and she was with her friends, and I was about 10 meters away, and I looked at her, and she looked over at her group, and she was wearing a orange sundress. She looked radiant, and I was gonna walk over and tell her that I thought she was beautiful. So I nervously approached her. I walked over, head sort of down, and I said, "Hey, Stacy, I think you're beautiful," and she looked at me befuddled. Silence. In here, pandemonium. Brain freeze. It was abort mission, mayday, error 404. What do I do? And so it was just freeze. And so I stood there for a second, and I said, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, and I walked away dejected. And it was such an awkward moment. If you've ever seen Obama dance on Ellen, he does like a little Dougie thing. It was 52 times more awkward than that. So it was a very awkward moment. But what this taught me is that, why did I say sorry? Why did I say, I thought she was beautiful, and I should have just been firm. I thought she was beautiful. I'm not sorry, but I said it because I was overly sensitive in the same way that when you're looking to be politically correct, you're overly sensitive a lot of times. So I'm not supporting that you should stereotype all the time, but I'm saying that you should know your audience, and you should communicate your beliefs honestly and respectfully, and that's key. And so respectful communication instead of political correctness. And so in conclusion, we've learned that I am a walking Asian stereotype. I repugn political correctness. I am a human resources department nightmare, and and 3, I live by the rules of honest and open communication. That's really important to me, and so I hope you enjoyed my talk.
Thank you, Alex. We'll take a moment now for Alex Evaluator to complete his speech evaluation, and we'll be back shortly.
All the education in the world won't help you get ahead in life if you can't express your ideas effectively. Every day, competition for advancement gets tougher and tougher. You need an edge. A Toastmasters club can give you that edge. A low-cost learning experience for men and women. Toastmasters gives you the confidence to express your ideas to anyone. Get the Toastmasters edge.
Welcome back. We are going to hear our second speech this evening. We're going to hear from Michelle Lewis. She is doing a speech from the Entertaining Speakers Manual, project number 3. She is working on her Advanced Communicator Bronze. And the title of her speech is Bleep Happens. Bleep Happens, Michelle Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President and Mr. Toastmaster. So let's face it, bleep happens. I can't use the real word that I want to use because we're a family-friendly Toastmasters club, but bleep happens. And the story that I'm going to share with you today, bleep happened literally. Let's take a step back. 13 years, I had just finished my 4 years of track and field eligibility. I had 1 more year of school, yes, and I was, yes, in a 5-year program. And I had to figure out how to maintain my scholarship. So the options were, number 1, I could work in the athletic department to maintain my scholarship. Or number 2, I could run cross country. Since I'm going to be working the next 40 or 50 years of my life, I figured running was the best option. Can't be that hard, can it? I've run all my life. I was a high jumper, I was a sprinter. Then I became an 800-meter runner. What's 6 times that distance? Anybody can do it. So here I am. I'm running cross country. And on one particular Saturday morning, we're at a cross country meet. It was a beautiful day. The skies were blue. It was the perfect day to go running. We're at Miami Oxford. Some of you might know where that is. And the gun goes off, and I'm running. And as you guys know, when people run, they run in packs, and then eventually about a mile into it, people have broken off. And man, I'm cruising. I'm feeling good today, and I'm coming up, I'm 2 miles into it, and then it hits me like a brick wall. I had to go to the bathroom. And I'm not talking number 1. So I'm telling myself, Michelle, you can do this. Michelle, what are you going to do? So I scour, I look. There's no trees. There's no porta potties. There's not even a wooded area. Just spectators lined up in an open field. Okay, not looking good. Option number 2, pray that the good Lord will get you through this. He's always by your side. Okay, option 2. I'm going to go with option 2. But we all know the good Lord likes to test us. He likes us to have hurdles. And I had a hurdle that day. Things weren't looking so good, and then it happened. It happened. Oh my goodness, what do I do now? So today I'm dressed in running gear, but we wore what they call singlets back then. Does anybody know what a singlet is? It's like a one-piece bathing suit. Oh yes. So I hope nobody can see it, and I hope it stays in. And I hope it doesn't smell. So I'm running, and it became the longest mile of my life. But before you know it, I see the finish line. Relief. I cross the finish line and I keep running. I found the nearest bathroom. That day I had to throw away what I had referred to as my lucky running underwear. Apparently they weren't so lucky. A lot of soap and a lot of paper towels later, I was downright humiliated. So you're probably sitting here today and you're asking, why would Michelle be telling this story on television? And I have to admit, it took me several years before I would ever have told a soul about that story that day. But when I did, I was surprised at the reaction I got. We all get that sense of urgency, and we try to repugn it, but that day I was not able to. But I think what is so good about this story is there's actually a life lesson that I hope everybody who hears it takes away with them and uses for inspiration. Because bleep happens. You can let it make you quit, or you can run with it. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Michelle. We'll be right back.
What future do you envision for yourself? What dreams do you have? If you want your dreams to come true, you must have confidence in yourself and your abilities. A Toastmasters Club can help you build that confidence. A low-cost learning experience for men and women. Toastmasters shows you how to express yourself clearly and effectively. Make your dreams a reality. Join a Toastmasters Club.
Welcome back. Now we're going to move on to that portion of the Toastmasters meeting that is an integral part of all Toastmasters meetings. We are going to hear about all of the things that went great in our meeting. We're going to learn about the strengths and the pluses that our speakers were using in their presentations tonight. We're also going to learn about areas that they might want to consider trying something a little bit different in the future to improve their communication skills. Our first evaluator this evening, who's going to be evaluating Alex Lee's icebreaker speech, is Carol Cormelink. Help me welcome Carol to do Alex's evaluation, Why I Am.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Alex. Loved your speech. The icebreaker, you were very comfortable up here. It didn't seem to me that you were nervous. You did use a few killer filler words, which is not unusual for your first one, but I loved your speech. I love your sense of humor, and I thought it was very well organized the way you started chronologically and had the audience. You brought us in right in the beginning when you're asking the stereotypical Chinese person, Chinese American, and I thought that was really great. And the one thing that I liked in your organization, which your next speech that you give is on organizing your speech, you tied it all together. You started, and then at the end, you had what you're doing now, and you tied it all back to, now we know who you are, the stereotypical Chinese American. I liked your adjectives. Besides your sense of humor, that was delightful. I liked that this beautiful girl was disproportionately attractive. I thought that was very clever. And I liked your use of the word befuddled and oversensitive. And I, too, hate political correctness. I said, I'm short. I'm not vertically challenged. I'm short. Don't call me vertically challenged. So I enjoyed your speech, and I'm looking forward to your next one. And in the future, you'll be paying more attention to your ums and ahs and killer filler words. And I will see those diminish quite a bit, I'm pretty sure. And thank you for being with TV Toastmasters.
Thank you, Carol. Our next evaluator is going to be Rick Barron, and he will be giving us his evaluation of Michelle Lewis's speech, Bleep Happens. So help me welcome Rick Barron up here to give us his evaluation of Michelle's speech. Rick?
Thank you, Steve. Bleep really does happen. And we got to hear about it firsthand up here. Interesting topic for a speech. And one, I think, that did make us laugh, and that was the objective of your speech. Something that was humorous and entertaining and something we were supposed to enjoy, and we all did that. And I think principally because it was something we could all relate to. Everyone has had that urge where your face goes, oops, now what? This isn't going to work. There's no exit, there's no porta potty, there's no hope. And we all could relate to that. You did a great job of setting the stage initially and showing us the actual event as you were pretending to run and that like, oh no, now what? The looking around, what do I do? I'm just going to go right through it. Selecting the option of, I'll just pray. That was classic. God over matter. God didn't win. That was classic. There was one area that I think that would help this speech when you give it again. And you did a great job of coming up with punchlines. The punchlines, literally, as you were introducing it, can't be that hard, can't it? Hope it stays in, doesn't smell. I mean, some great punchlines, but I think they would have benefited from a little bit longer pause. Just give us time to kind of stop, really reflect on what you said, and then when you hit us with the punchline, it's like, yeah, that's perfect. And I think that would have helped improve the speech. Just a little bit longer pause before the punchlines. I like the way that you summarized it at the end, kind of brought this experience that most people would probably never even tell their best friend, let alone an audience of people and who knows who out on the internet and the television community. Summarized it at the end and really put it into that life lesson about how you can quit or run with it. Really perfect about how you tied it into the theme and gave us something that we could take this funny story, think about it, and now from now on, whenever there's that urge, I'll go, hey, you know, I can quit or I can go with it. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Rick. Our next evaluator is going to be giving us feedback on our timing, because timing is an important part of a Toastmasters meeting to make sure that we get our message across in the time that we have allocated to us. She's also going to give us some feedback on verbal crutches that we may have used during the program this meeting. Specifically, she'll be looking at things like ahs and ums and any other crutch or filler words that people might be using. We'll hear a report on that. Thirdly, if she had a chance with her various duties that she was doing for us tonight, she may even comment on who was able to use the word of the day, which was repugn. Help me welcome Jean Ho for our timer evaluation and her grammarian's report. Jean?
Thank you, Mr. Esther. Okay, I have on the timer, Rick. On the table topics, you were 52 seconds. And myself, thank you for keeping time for me, Alex. It's a minute and 15 seconds. Carol, your timing was a minute and 21 seconds on the table topics. And on the speeches, Alex, your speech was 5 minutes and 25 seconds. And Michelle, yours was 4 minutes and 55 seconds. For the evaluators, Carol, your timing was a minute and 34 seconds. And Rick, your timing was 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And that was the timing for that. On the counter, Alex, you had at least 2 so's, 13 ahs, 6 you know, and 7 ums. I do not recall hearing any crutches from Michelle. There were quite a few pause, so I think you caught yourself. And Carol, I couldn't catch any crutches either. And Steve, believe it or not, I think there was a slight that slipped out from you. Just one, but that was about it. As for the word of the day, I distinctly heard Michelle use it, but I'm afraid I didn't quite, Oh, and Alex,
Yeah,
you used it too. Sorry.
That's okay.
And you did too? Obviously, I was not doing my the grammarian thing here. Sorry. But That's all that I have to give.
Thank you, Jean. You did a good job keeping track of multiple things. I'm doing that myself this evening because in my role as general evaluator, I also will provide some feedback on our overall meeting as well as some feedback for our evaluators and any things that they may have overlooked as far as a part of their evaluations of our speakers this evening. Carol, in your evaluation, you provided some specifics, which I really liked. You also provided a nice lead-in commenting on the organization of the speech into the next project that will be in the basic manual. One of the things that you didn't comment on, and Alex, I need to mention this to you too, because in my role as director as well, it is a little bit of a challenge to keep up with people moving across the stage up front here. We do have 3 cameras, but I only have 1 camera person tonight and myself. And so you have to be a little bit conscious of how far you move. We can catch you on the video, but it depends on how fast you're moving as to whether we'll have an empty stage for a moment while we switch to the next camera. So that's one of the things to just keep in mind. You're usually a little more constrained as far as how far you can move when you're up on a stage and you have cameras and we don't have a full complement of camera people here. Secondly, with that, you usually don't want to move the camera while it's live, because what can happen is, if it's quite noticeable, you'll make your audience motion sick, which is not something we want to do. Rick, your evaluation, I appreciated your thoroughness as well and specifics that you provided. I really didn't have anything that I'd picked up on that you didn't cover, so congratulations on that. Good enthusiasm, both of you. Jean, thank you for being both our timer and our counter, as well as looking for a few of the other crutches we use, like so, which is usually one of my favorites. That's how I get my run-on sentences. You just link them all with so's. Our meeting started a little bit later than we normally do tonight, but we're doing very well on time. Our studio was in order. We had some nice table topics. We had good speeches this evening. Talking about table topics, I did have one thing I wanted to mention, Jessica. As far as table topics, the way we generally do them is you pose your question and then you call on someone, because you want people to not know who's going to have to deal with that question until after it's asked. It's one of the things that's a common mistake. People will identify someone and they'll say, this is a question. Everybody else goes, I don't have to answer that one. Of course, they don't know what they're going to get next, but that's usually the way that we do table topics, because that way nobody has any additional opportunity to prepare for it than the time it takes them to get up here to the lectern. So that's one of the things we generally do with table topics. It keeps it a little more suspenseful. But I've seen it done the way you did it tonight many times, so you have a lot of company. I have a few announcements that I'd like to make before we adjourn our meeting this evening. We have a couple of Toastmaster events coming up. We have the Fall 2014 Area 52 Humorous Speech and Table Topics Contest. It's going to occur on Tuesday, September 16th, starting at 6:30 p.m., and it's going to occur at the American Modern Insurance Group, their Midland Conference Center. And that's located at 7000 Midland Boulevard here in Amelia, actually out in Amelia, a little farther east. For TV Toastmasters, we have Richard Gant will be representing our club as the Table Topics contestant. And I will be doing the humorous speech contest for TV Toastmasters. We do need to have some people come and attend that to help with judging, ballot counting, some of the other roles that we always need for a successful area contest. And each club is usually asked to provide at least one and preferably 2 judges. So if your calendar will allow it, please come. And we also appreciate having support from our home clubs when we're doing these area contests. I'm still getting my visual aids put together a little better from when I did the speech at our last meeting. Following the area contest, the winners from Area 52 will then go on to the Loop Division contest, which will be held on Saturday, October 11th at the Springdale Community Center, which is at 11999 Longview Avenue in Springdale. That starts at 10 a.m. and goes until 12:30. And that, again, is on October 11th. That's a Saturday morning, starting at 10 a.m. at the Springdale Community Center. So if you haven't gone to contests, if you haven't attended contests outside of the club, it's also worthwhile to try to take some of these in, because that way you get to see a broader range of speakers from some of the other clubs. You get to meet other Toastmasters that are in our area and in our division. And the chief judge is always looking for people to help with judging. Just because you haven't done a lot of judging, it's an excellent place to learn some of these things, because you want to have a range of Toastmasters doing the judging as far as experience, because they'll all look at different things. It also gives you a little bit better perspective on what we look for when we evaluate speeches, and you can use some of this in your own growth as you work through the different manuals. I don't think we have anything else to bring up tonight. Our dues will be due starting October 1st. We have to submit our dues again. So our treasurer is more than willing to accept your dues between now and at or shortly after our third Saturday meeting, which will be on Saturday, September, probably the 20th, because September started on Monday. So, and we do collect dues for a year at a time. Right. If you need to know how much it is, just talk to Carol. I forgot to bring my checkbook tonight because I ran out of the house this morning and I haven't been home yet to get it. So I will bring it at our Saturday meeting. We'll also have a club officer meeting at 7:45 a.m. before our Saturday meeting up here at the Anderson Town Center Kroger. And we have that until 8:45. You don't have to be an officer to attend, so if you're curious or you'd like to come, we'd love to have you there.
And we have open rolls.
Yes, we have open rolls for our Saturday meeting, so please check our sign-in sheet that we have, as well as going to our website, which for the audience looking in, you can also go to our website, which is www.tvtoastmasters.com. And we have a link down there in the bottom left-hand side, which will get you to our YouTube links for our previous meetings. With that, I am going to close our Thursday evening, September 4th, 2014 TV Toastmasters meeting. Those of you looking in, I hope you'll think about coming to visit us. We'd love to have you here. Thank you, everyone, for being here this evening, contributing to an excellent meeting. And with that, I'm going to adjourn the September 4th meeting for TV Toastmasters Club 9523, Area 52, Loop Division.